Hi everyone, it's Christine Harrington back with the UK's premier trainer, Simon White. And we are here today to talk about mindset, to help you have a sales mindset. Welcome, Simon.
Well, good day. Good to see you again.
It's good to see you too, Simon. And you know, one of the reasons why I coach so much on mindset is because I believe that you have to develop the whole salesperson. And you know this in coaching. Tell me one of the biggest complaints or excuses that you get when you're coaching salespeople.
They often believe that they are there to, they don't understand they are there to help somebody solve a problem, and therefore they think they are forcing their product or service on them in some dishonest way. But that is a real big one. You've got to understand that you are there to help. I mean, someone's only going to buy from you if you can show them, illustrate to them that you can actually help them solve a problem or a need or a challenge. That tends to be a big one for me.
Where do you think they get that belief from?
Maybe it's a lack of understanding about the problems that their product or service actually solves. They might have been taught it's all about the features and not about the business outcomes. They don't believe perhaps the value in what they are charging for their product or service is actually worth what they're charging. That's a big one I've come across. So all these self-limiting beliefs really get in the way. And look, like yourself and me, you know, we go out there and we're training them in techniques, and that's part of it, and those daily behaviors to you know, those habits. But if the mindset's not there, it's an uphill struggle.
That's right. And what inhibits sales performance the most is here.
Yeah.
It's the mind, the thoughts that are going through the mind. So if a salesperson is reluctant, like you said, this pattern of behavior is showing up in in other areas of their life. So I may drill down a little bit further and say, where exactly did you learn this belief from?
I love that question. Yeah, great question.
Right. Or where else are you hesitant in the same way in other areas of your life? Because all of a sudden, then they have this self-awareness, you know, I see this pattern within myself. And when you get down to the root of what's holding them back, then they have the self-awareness to start working on that limited belief they've told themselves. So let me put it this way. In a course of a day, now this is all based on science, Simon. It's from the National Science Foundation. And during the course of one day, this will just blow you away. How many thoughts do you think you have?
I'm guessing it's tens of thousands of thoughts.
You are right. It's 60,000 thoughts a day. Yeah. Now, I'm going to tell you something that's even worse than that, okay? Most of those thoughts, of course, you don't remember. I mean, you don't remember 60,000 thoughts during a day, do you?
No.
Right. A lot of it is unconscious thoughts.
Yeah.
However, a lot of those thoughts are nothing more than habit. Yeah. It's the same thought you had yesterday and the day before and the day before that. For example, if you have people that you coach that are constantly worried about things, okay? That worry they have made into a habit, because it's the same worry they woke up with the day before and the day before that. What does this do? This starts to create a behavior pattern that turns into nothing more than living in the past.
Yeah. So can I ask you a question on that point then? With the clients that you coach, where they have these issues around mindset and self-limiting beliefs, how many of those date back to childhood, where their
All of them.
parents have, okay, all of them, yeah. But I know certainly, so I often say, I'm sure you do, that your parents are to blame for so much, in sales, so much of the issues, don't interrupt a stranger and all that kind of stuff, don't talk to strangers. Which is what we're told as a child, and we carry that through. So you say all of the mindset issues date back to childhood.
I will even say this, that the people that you and I coach that are struggling with selling, it all goes back to their beliefs, their patterns of behavior, and the habits that they've developed over the years that they haven't re-examined.
Yeah.
So let's take this a little bit further. Out of those 60,000 thoughts, and you'll probably get this, how many of those do you think are negative thoughts?
I would be guessing the majority, but I don't know.
Yeah, usually 90% of the thoughts that you think during the day are negative, either consciously or subconsciously.
Yeah.
So that is the type of mindset that you really want to examine, because the whole idea is, I've heard people say it, they don't understand that they control this. Okay, this is what's running them all the time, and they have the power to control their own mind, their own thoughts. But we were never taught how to do that.
Yeah,
it just goes wild, So if you have you ever woken up with a backache?
Yes, frequently.
Okay, so you didn't have the thought that I've got a backache, did you?
No.
No, it first comes to the body. The body feels a pain, sends it to the mind, and you go, wow, that hurt. Did you know that you can train your body to do that as a habit? Where if you wake up every day saying you got a bad back, you got a backache, you can actually train yourself to believe that you do have a bad back, even though that's not where that pain is coming from. So the mind in the last decade, they have exploded on all the information that they have at their fingertips about how the mind works. We can even grow new synapses to be able to connect those to have better thoughts and to have a better life, but we don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
So one of the things, Simon, that I coach on is, with those 60,000 thoughts that are going through your mind every day, think of it as running a marathon, okay? You're running a marathon and you're competing with all these people around you, and all of those people that bypass you are just more thoughts and more thoughts and more thoughts. And meanwhile, you're trying to have a good day, but you're competing with all of these negative thoughts that have become a habitual thought from day after day after day. And before your day even starts, you're in a bad mood. Your moods are nothing more than habit thoughts. And people think they wake up and they feel this way and they don't have any control of it. They have total control of it.
So from a salesperson's point of view, what can they put in place to overcome these thoughts that are leading to this limited mindset?
One of the things that I tell my clients to do is, every morning when they wake up, have a Post-it note with a new thought to wake up to. So let's say you've got someone that wakes up stressed every morning, or worried about their sales day, or worried about their sales goal. So when they wake up and they're still groggy, have them turn over and look at this new thought. Carry that new thought around with you all day long. It could be a thought as, all my sales appointments run smoothly. Whatever it is that they're trying to overcome, that should be their new thought for the day. And I get a lot of feedback from people that tell me that that really helps. One of the reasons why it helps is because it's breaking a habitual habit of the old thought from the day before that they've had, you know, some people have had them for years. The same,
Yeah,
I mean, go ahead.
I was just saying, would you describe that as a pattern interrupt?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
so we use pattern interrupts with prospects and interrupting their pattern, but this is actually interrupting our own pattern as a salesperson.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so many times, that's a good point, Simon, because so many times we're so caught up in controlling the sales process that we stop to control our own process.
Yeah.
And we're pushing and pushing and pushing. Or we do just the opposite. We just recoil and don't do anything.
Yeah, because we spend a lot of time as sales trainers and salespeople considering what the prospect, the buyer is going through, and their pattern, and how do we interrupt that pattern and take them off autopilot. But actually, from what you're saying is the salesperson is also has this autopilot setting that sometimes might need interrupting to get them going in the right direction.
That's right. And that's why when I coach on selling, like, you know, let's just say that somebody comes and says, you know, well, I didn't make this sale again today. You know, this is 6 in a row that I haven't done. Well, that's a self-defeating thought, right?
Yeah.
And so I would always go to, why do you think that you've developed this pattern? You know, what in the past 6 sales have you examined them? Have you you've veered off your process? Have you gone back and looked? You know, what are the steps? Go back and look at the steps. It's so important. And I know you teach this too, Simon, to re-examine at the end of the day, where did I go right and what do I need to improve? It's not what have I done wrong, it's what do I need to improve.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And certainly, you know, if you have 6 deals that have gone, have not closed in a row, the 7th one isn't going to close either unless you stop and examine what's going on. Equally, if you've just sold 6 in a row, and the likelihood is the 7th one, because you'll be just, the positivity will just take you through a lot of it as well. So yeah, really good points.
Yeah, there are 2 types of mindsets, and this book, this is a lot of the mindset science has been based on Carol Dweck's book, Mindset,
Okay.
The New Psychology of Success. As you can see, I have, you know, it's actually my cat chewed on it too. But a lot of this mindset research that I'm talking about, it comes from this research that Carol did for years. So I just highly recommend everybody to get this book. So there's two mindsets, the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. The fixed mindset is the person that said, well, I've had my 6th sale in a row that did not close. You know, maybe I shouldn't be in sales at all. That's a fixed mindset. The person with the growth mindset would say, gee, I've had 6 sales that didn't close. I wonder what I should be doing different.
Yeah.
That's the big difference. And Simon, when you coach, if you start seeing fixed to growth mindset, if you start hearing these patterns of behavior from a fixed mindset, this is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
You know, I can't do anymore.
So, using those 2 examples, then, if you've got somebody who has a growth mindset, do you think they are easier to coach from our point of view than someone who's got a fixed mindset is more difficult to coach or even impossible to coach? What are your thoughts on that?
A person with a growth mindset is open to new ideas, new ways of doing business. They're open to personal development. The fixed mindset will fight you all the way. I mean, they'll give you every excuse under the sun. You know, their boss is a micromanager. They don't have any more new product to sell. The economy is causing them not to get sales. I mean, the dog ate the homework. You name it. That's their fixed mindset excuses on why they can't succeed.
Yeah.
I don't coach them.
Okay. I was going to say, what tips do you have to get them out of that fixed mindset?
I don't coach them. I tried in the beginning and I got so frustrated myself because they're not open to anything new. Now one person I sent away and I said, when you're open to coaching, then come back. And he did. And because his job was on the line. He had 90 days to turn it around. So he did. Mm-hmm.
So what is the quick way of discovering whether someone's got fixed or growth mindset? So if someone comes to you as a potential client, how quickly can you determine that so you know whether to work with them further or not?
Well, the biggest sign is if a sales manager wants you to fix somebody. Now, fixing and training is two different things. You know, if you and I quit taking the troubled salespeople that sales managers were pulling their hair out. Now, if I am asked to coach somebody like that, and I'll go through a series of questions with them. Tell me what it is that you feel their potential is. Why aren't they living up to their potential? If they're not living up to their potential now, chances are they're not going to in the future unless they are jarred into it by, you got 30 days or 60 days or you're going to lose your job.
Yeah. I've certainly had the experience myself when I've coached multiple people in the same company. They've had the same amount of time for the same amount of months, etc. And those people with the growth mindset are just absolutely smashing their targets, and the people with a fixed mindset are just not turning up to the coaching sessions. They're not doing any of the activities they're meant to do outside of the sessions, and they're not growing. And then they don't want to continue. But those with the growth, one of my clients said to me a few weeks ago, and she's got a real growth mindset. We were just talking at the end of one of the sessions, and I think we've been maybe coaching for about 4 or 5 months. And she said that she wants to continue for the whole of next year, and she would sooner continue with my coaching than have a pay rise. That's how important it is to her to continue the coaching. But she's an athlete as well, but she's got such a growth mindset. It's an absolute pleasure working with her because everything you discuss, she takes on board, she runs with, and makes it work. But I've worked with lots of other people who don't have that, and they just they're a lot more challenging to work with.
Well, that's a compliment to you and your coaching too, Simon. So, but that's a perfect example, and I was going to get into it. Athletes get it. That's why companies want athletes, people in the military, that has that discipline and structure. They make the best salespeople. And when you're an athlete, you don't give the coach excuses or you're off the team. But more than that, you'll hear this side of coaching where you have to nurture. I'll nurture the growth mindset people all day long, but with the fixed mindset people, I don't have enough hours in the day to try to help them overcome themselves. And that's really what it is. They're overcoming themselves. athletes know how to do that. We may have talked about this on another video, but Tim Grover, who was Michael Jordan's personal coach, he wrote a book called Relentless. Now, there's controversy on that book because of the way Tim Grover coaches, but it is riveting how much he pushed Michael Jordan. But Michael Jordan was open to anything he could do to improve his performance. Just like the woman that you're coaching, she would rather have you as a coach than a pay raise. Listen to that, salespeople. That's how important Simon is to the success of her career, is because she's willing to put the time and the money into coaching, so she knows he will help her rise to the next level. And that's really what coaching is. You can't, there's no more kissing the frog and expecting him to be the prince.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Simon, let's talk about the 3 parts of the mindset. And this is really how our mind kind of sets up our belief systems, okay? So there's this term that we call in the mindset world called the inner CEO. Your inner CEO is what directs all the other parts of your mind to do and to take over you. It's that inner CEO we have to tame so we can make sure that we're controlling our mind and our thoughts. So how did we get here? There's 3 stages to mindset development. And what you said earlier, Simon, was absolutely true. It goes back to childhood. So your first one is called implanted. That's the implanted mindset. And where do you think that we get the implanted mindset from?
Parents.
That's right. We get it from parents, from school, from religious beliefs. Religious beliefs and your family really do form the biggest part of that mindset development.
Yeah.
So there are people, you know, I used to be one of those. There were people that held on to childhood beliefs that their parents told them way into their adult life, like, you know, money is evil.
Yeah.
Right? That's a big one. I hear that a lot from salespeople that, well, I'm not selling to get rich. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can hear parents all the time saying these things to their children. And I remember, you know, my parents saying similar things. I was the first person in my family to go to university, the first person to start their own business, because all the other generations, all the other family members have said, oh, you know, get a job and work for somebody else, or no, don't take the risk of setting up your own business, and all these little things. And yeah, it stays with you.
It does stay with you. You should always re-examine your beliefs in every area of your life about 5 years, every 5 years, and re-examine, are these beliefs working for you or not? And if they're not, then you need to replace it with a better belief, okay? So how do you improve your implanted mindset? You got to remember that your mind is like a garden, okay? Water the flowers, not the weeds.
Yeah.
So that's part of how to improve the implanted mindset. Re-examining those beliefs, pull those weeds out, those old beliefs that no longer serve you, and water the ones that are doing really well for you. But it is important to look at those beliefs. Okay, now we talked about the implanted. The next is the imprinted mindset. And as we grow, we meet people along the way. Okay, now what comes to mind when you hear imprinted? Usually, from school, we learned that an imprinted mindset was, or an imprinted behavior was a mother duck and all the little ducklings following the mother duck. That, in a way, explains the imprinted mindset. And we learn this from school, from coaches or mentors later in life. Okay? Now, how do you improve an imprinted mindset? Do you have any idea?
No, go on.
So what you'll do is you have to look at who are your heroes in your life. Okay? Who are your heroes? You might need to change your heroes. So when you're in high school, your heroes may be way different than when you're an adult. So look at your heroes. And, so many people try to emulate other people. What you want to do is, you don't want to become your hero, but you want to look at his patterns or her patterns of success that made that person a hero. And then you take those patterns of success and implement them into your life. That's one way you can change an imprinted mindset. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Do you have a role model, Simon?
No, I don't think I do, actually. I don't think I consciously have a role model. I know a lot of people in the UK would kind of look to people like Richard Branson and people like that. I don't think I do. No. Is that a bad thing?
No, I don't think so. I do. I have my two, and they're totally different. Joan Rivers and Dolly Parton.
Okay.
Dolly Parton, because she doesn't care. She is who she is, and she has such humor. If you've written or read anything she's written, it's just full of humor. She just makes you laugh and smile.
Yeah.
Joan Rivers, because, this woman has redefined herself 3 different times in her lifetime. Even after 70 years old, she brought in her QVC jewelry line, and that became her bread and butter. But those 2 women, very successful and very different patterns of behavior, but their patterns of behavior were based on growth mindsets.
Yeah.
So, all right. So the next level on the pyramid, and then your inspired mindset. And that's the inner voice that's telling you that life is short and you really want to make a mark in this life. So what inspires you the most? And what do you love doing more than anything else?
Yeah.
Now, Simon, I see a lot of people, or I should say, I've heard from a lot of people that I coach that they love making the money of selling. They don't like selling, though. And that'll only take you so far, and I'm not a big believer of the why question. What's your why? What drives you? That why is what you should get up and do every day. I'm just not the why. Why's never done anything for me, Now, I'm not saying that it may help you, it may help others, but why doesn't drive me? What drives you, Simon? Let me ask that.
Well, I don't know, but on my notes, I've got, what's your why?
Well, I said it might work for you.
What drives me in business, when I started my business sort of just over 6 years ago, I remember saying to my wife, and this is what stuck me, this is what keeps me going. I said, if this works, it's down to me. And if this fails, it's down to me. And for that first time in my life, I was captain of my own ship. And there was no one to blame it on. I couldn't blame it on a boss or colleagues or anyone. If I make it work, it's down to me. And that has been my driving force for me. And that means that when I have to pick up the phone and do a cold call, or I have to go and drive to a meeting, or whatever it is, anything I don't want to do, I still have to do it because it's down to me. I can never, like a lot of people, they'll come back from their place of work and they'll bitch about their boss. Oh, won't believe what my boss has done now. I can't do that. If it doesn't work, there's only one person to blame, and he's sat here. That's my motivation.
I love it. 100% responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and
You know,
that's part of that positive mindset is taking responsibility for yourself. Don't blame others.
do you follow or know about Jocko Willink,
Yeah, there's
the
Navy
Navy
SEAL.
SEAL?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right. Um, Big. I'm a huge fan of Jocko, and
Okay.
he drives home in his books. I mean, salespeople, if you really want to get your act together, you need to read Jocko Willnick's book, any of them, Extreme Leadership, any of them. They are so good because he teaches you how to be 100% responsible for everything and anything around you. You
Yeah.
know, I grew up in the group benefits world, Simon, so this is just a quick example. And if someone called in and everybody was busy, they wouldn't pick the phone up. They'd let it go to a voicemail system. I would never do that. I would always pick the phone up, and it didn't matter to me if it was my client or not. I was going to help them. And people in the office were a little upset with me because I kept picking up the phone. Well, we're there to help. We're not there to hide behind a voicemail message machine, you know. Always take 100% responsibility. And you know, you've been in business, you've heard this. Well, that's not the way we do it.
Yeah, most dangerous phrase in business. That. Yeah,
Right,
we don't
or
do
we
it. We
don't
don't
do
do
it
it that
that
way.
way.
Yeah,
Right, or
yeah,
that's not my job.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
So
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
no, it is your job. It may not be your
I
title.
Yeah, yeah. I used to. It's just an example just popped into my head of the closed mindset. A lady, I won't be too specific, but somebody I used to work with. Whatever you asked her to do, she would always start her response with, "Well, the problem is everything. Could you go and do? Well, the problem is everything." It was a joke amongst the office because whatever you asked, her answer would always start with the problem is. And you think, oh my goodness, why did I ask you?
A problem is you.
Yeah.
So one of the things that the inspired mindset does is this. So each of you have your own inner magic. Now, I'm not saying that magic words. I'm talking about your own inner sense of your inner magic. There's only one Simon White. There's only one Christine Harrington. There's only one of you. You have to find what that inner magic is within you, because you have the ability to inspire not only yourself, but everyone around you as well. Be the light. Don't be the one where people are, you know, when you walk into a room, they scatter. You know, be the one that brings the light. And I really want to talk to you about this. I'm going to take my glasses off. You can be the inspiration of everyone around you. And it starts here. It starts here. Don't get together with coworkers and have your bitch session about the boss or about other people on the team. Be the one that comes up with a solution to help move you forward, to help move the team forward. And don't wait for everybody else to solve the problem. You be the one to solve the problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm done.
That's great. I mean, that's it. It's a good bit of advice there. You know, when people step up and they solve the problem, that's how they get promotions, and that's how you know how you get on. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Simon, so the next step is your unlimited performance potential. Okay. Like I said earlier, athletes know what it is to live their potential. They know how to push the potential out of themselves, and they know how to be coached. So one of the questions you said earlier is so right. If the client comes to me and I don't feel they're coachable, because I've already asked 2 or 3 questions and I've gotten excuses, I know right away they're not coachable. Okay. And honestly, Simon, it has blown my mind how many people who pay me with their own money and they resist.
Yeah.
Right? So to uncover your unlimited performance potential, because it is unlimited, you have to go back to here, your mind. There's 100 trillions of I have a hard time with that word, neural connections, billions of thoughts, thousands of beliefs and behaviors and decisions. That's why when you can master your own mindset and you understand your own pattern of behaviors and the thoughts that are dominating your mind, so you can have more of a growth mindset than a fixed mindset, you will better understand and you'll be able to see it a lot sooner, the patterns of behavior in that decision maker and their decision-making process. You should always ask them, though, what is their decision-making process when dealing with a product or a sale like the one that you're presenting. You need to ask that question, but then you can also start to observe behaviors too easier. So that's why it's important to understand mindset and your own mindset especially. So what we can learn from neuroscience about the inner CEO is it happens here in the human brain, and it's like the internet, and that's why we call it the inner net, the inner net. So your brain has over 100 trillion neural connections, and your brain can create millions of thoughts, billions of thoughts that lead to thousands of decisions, feelings, beliefs, behaviors, and dreams, whether it's dreaming at night or dreams for the future. So the inner CEO actually assumes this executive function of the brain, and it allows you to reach the optimized level of personal and professional functions. So how do you set that up? So the first part is expand your awareness. You've got to start observing your own patterns of behavior. So here's an example. Do you keep commitments to others? Okay. Now, most people will say they do. Well, this is the next question that will almost always is answered no. Do you keep commitments to yourself? So people will keep commitments to their wife, their children, their coworkers, their boss, their clients, their prospects. But then they start having these conversations within themselves about not going to the gym again, not walking the dog again, not doing this or doing that. And we start breaking our own commitments to ourselves. When we do that, we start to feel like a fake. So when we start breaking commitments to ourselves, I mean, Simon, how many times have you had salespeople tell you, I just feel like a fake. I don't feel like an expert. I have heard that so many times. It's scary.
Yeah, we refer to it over here. I don't know if it's the same over there as imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that's very. I can't think of anybody who doesn't feel like that at some point. We all
Right.
do. We all do
Yeah.
it. So but yeah, imposter syndrome is very big. It's very. In fact, I honestly can't think of anybody who hasn't confided in me at some point that that is an issue.
And when they dig down into what's causing that, 9 times out of 10, it's because they're breaking their own commitments to themselves.
Okay, it's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So the next part is setting goals and dreams. So the inner CEO wants to set goals and dreams.
Yeah.
We just don't do it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what drives the success, is the goals and the dreams. The next part is to improve your implanted mindset. You have to improve those self-limiting beliefs that you were brought up to believe that are really not true. That might have been your parents' beliefs, that might have been your teacher's beliefs and your coach's beliefs, but that doesn't mean it has to be your beliefs. And then you have to improve your imprinted mindset, and you improve your imprinted mindset by observing the patterns of behaviors that you have learned out of habit. I want you to really understand this. This is nothing more. It all goes back to habits. What your habits are, that's your pattern of behaviors. You created those habits, and you can create better habits to replace those. And then you activate your inspired mindset. Well, for Simon, it's his why. But whatever inspires you, go deep and find out you can be an inspiration. What is that unique inspiration that you can give to others? That's just you. You know, we all have it. What do you think yours is, Simon?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I honestly, you put me right on the spot there. I don't know what that would be.
I'm
Any
going to let you
thoughts?
think about that and tell me next time we get
Okay.
together. One of the things that I think is unique about you, you can break down a complex process into the simplest of terms that makes it so easy to understand. And that is unique. I have a tendency to, talk a lot, but you are easily break it down to clear, concise information.
Yeah, thank you. Something I do a lot in my training and coaching. I use a lot of analogies. Analogies about everything all the time. Yeah, just to make it accessible.
I'm going to have to learn from you. So when you're in your growth mindset and you're growing your growth mindset, this is when you will start to shift into feeling more like an expert in what you do. Okay, a lot of people in the fixed mindset will tell you that they don't feel like an expert. They're not an expert. They're the ones that sometimes will bring up the imposter syndrome. They feel like an imposter, or they're the ones that don't even like selling, So when you're in a growth mindset, though, it's like the world is your oyster and you're just trying to find more.
Yes.
And that's why those salespeople are such a pleasure to coach, because no matter what you ask them to do, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
They're absolutely going to do it.
And like you say, they're an absolute pleasure to work with, and the clients of mine, and it is all of my clients really have this growth mindset. They are an absolute pleasure. Whatever you go through, you know that when you next meet up, they will have implemented it and they will have results from it. And it's an absolute pleasure. It takes the stress and away from us as coaches and trainers, because you're working with people who want to learn and want to get better. As opposed to those people who just are forced to turn up because their bosses told them to.
One of the things that I ask my coaching clients to do, I always examine this, and this is also a good tool to use to see if they have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. And I do this on day one of coaching, that they're to take 1 or 2 days and list every activity they've done in the last 24 hours. I want to see personal and business. Okay. And the growth mindset people see that as a challenge. Oh, I've never done that before. That'll be interesting. And the fixed mindset will say, you mean everything? You want me to make a list of everything?
Yeah. And it's the, it's, I don't know if this is interesting to see what you think on this. The clients of mine who have that growth mindset, when you say to them, what have you got planned this weekend? They will give you an absolute full list. They are here, there, and everywhere. They're off to the gym. They're off out seeing friends. In fact, the people with a fixed mindset, what are you doing this weekend? Not much.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I don't know if those two things go in hand, but the people with the growth mindset are busy. They're busy. They're living life to the full. They're filling it to the brim with everything they possibly can. And those people with a fixed mindset are just there watching telly.
So usually the fixed mindset people will be the one that fear life the most, and the growth mindset people are fearless. I'm not saying they're reckless, and I'm not saying that I'm not saying they're reckless, but they do have a tendency to be more of a risk taker and a rule breaker than the fixed mindset. The fixed mindset people are the ones that are snapping photos of people without a mask and sending it into the health department,
Yeah. So in that case, are people with growth mindsets, do they tend to be more entrepreneurs?
Yes.
Setting up and running their own businesses. Yeah. Well, that would go hand in hand with what you've just said. The people who are pushing through at the moment during the current pandemic and pushing and growing are those entrepreneurs who know that they either keep pushing or they decline.
Right. Well, and the other thing is they're reinventing ways for them to do business, just like you. I mean, you've done it in the COVID-19 era. You have reinvented how you've done things. So, you're a good example of it. But the people,
well, both of us,
the growth mindset people, what they'll do is they'll do a fabulous job at where they're at, and then they move to a better position with another company. The fixed mindset people will leave the company for the next bright and shiny sales position out there, and they take all their problems and their poor habits and their self-sabotaging mindset with them to the new job. And then they get to the new job and it's not working out, so they find reasons to blame it. Well, the growth mindset people, and I'll say this too, because I've seen it in companies that I've worked for, the fixed mindset people will be the ones that hang on to a dying ship, where the growth mindset people have already been out there finding a new position. I've been downsized 9 times in 17 years, Simon, when I was in the insurance industry. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, insurance companies were buying each other up left and right. And it's like you only were out of job maybe 4 or 5 years when you were bought, and they downsized everybody that they had bought. 3,000 people gone. That happened 9 times to me.
Yeah.
So you have to keep reinventing yourself, where other people that I have helped in the insurance industry, when we were going through all of that, I taught them how to reinvent themselves so they could get out early and not be on that dying ship. So any other questions? This was a lot of information, I know.
It's great, and it is one of your sort of specialist subjects, isn't it, mindset? I think it's been fascinating hearing you talk about it, to be honest. I think I've really enjoyed it.
Well, everybody, I just gave you a snapshot. I tried to give you, this is a full day workshop, and I think we talked an hour. So I didn't even hit on the majority of it. But we wanted to talk about mindset to help you in sales and to let you know you can change here. You have the ability to do it. And just remember that if you're worried about finances or you're worried about your sales, you can train yourself not to be worried. Try the Post-it note when you get up in the morning to wake up with a positive thought. And before we leave, Simon, I just want to emphasize a difference. I'm not talking about positivity. I'm not talking about being positive. I'm not talking about doing affirmations all day long on a positive thought. That's not what I'm talking about, because it doesn't work. It doesn't work. If you really want to change from being a negative person to a positive person, you have to start with rooting out the negativity here, but observing your patterns of behaviors first. And this isn't going to happen in a day, a week, a month, or a year, because it's taken some people 20 years of repeated thoughts of negativity. You're not going to break that overnight. You have to be dedicated to give yourself the years it's going to take to rewind those thoughts. So saying a bunch of positive affirmations ain't going to do it. You have to recognize your patterns of behavior. And if you need help with that, here I am.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Christine, for sharing your thoughts on mindset this evening.
Well, you're welcome, Simon, and I look forward to the next one.
Me too. Excellent. Thank you.
Bye-bye.